now inside the compound of Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Here. It's kind of enclosed up here, eh?
Well, it's proper property. How much time we got left?
Pause it?
No. The battery's half. That'll do. That's fine. Got lots of time left. Here we go. It's going to be on this side, I think. As soon as you get up, you'll see it. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Look at this.
Here we go.
My fucking heart's going already.
Holy
actually started the investigation that night, and we had walked past the same part, I don't know how many times, and then all of a sudden, you know, we had stopped at that point and we're talking, and then all of a sudden we noticed this tennis ball that was on the ground, which we didn't see the whole time we were doing that, and it was right in our path. Like one of us would have had to have kicked it at some point, and all of a sudden it's just there. So later on in the evening, I was off with the people that I was split up with, Leanne being one of them, and a couple of people from the area, and doing an EVP session, and they were, you know, calling for Timmy to do something or say something, and so I just, you know, threw in the question of if he kicked that tennis ball to us, and, you know, as you hear on the recording, you know, there was an answer to it.
Did you bring that tennis ball to us?
Could anybody please make a noise?
Leanne was recording at the same time as I was, so she has the same recording, but it's a little bit different based on, I guess, where we were positioned in the room. And so where the answer to the question or the response to the question is more prominent on mine, and then the second voice is a lot less prominent on hers. The response is quieter, and I think you can only hear 2 syllables, and then the second voice is sharper and harsher and much more closer to her mic than it was to my microphone. So we've got the same recording, just two different angles on it.
Did you bring that tennis ball to us?
Could anybody?
I was pretty excited about it. Seeing as, you know, other than the EVP that we had, we pretty much felt like we had not a whole lot, and, you know, still was sort of holding on to that feeling that we got scammed into, you know, buying into the whole hype deal, and then nothing happened. But it was pretty cool to see the ball moving, and you know, it's easy for us to say this is a video of the ball moving, and it's easy for people to say, oh yeah, but, you know, it's probably wind. I guess you're just gonna have to take our word for it, because there was no wind. And the fact that, and I don't think we show that on, I don't know if you have it on that clip or not, Steve, but excuse me. What happens during the course of the night is the ball will move, and then as soon as people start approaching that area, it would stop and not start again until after they left. Almost like there was something intelligent causing it to move. I don't think wind, even if there was wind or a breeze, is going to stop every time people walk up and then, you know, start going again once they leave. So obviously, like the clip that we show on YouTube and on the website is condensed, because, you know, otherwise you're watching like 4 hours of footage, and, you know, the ball's not moving all the time. So, but yeah, it was pretty cool to see that, especially when it, you know, moves at more extreme distances, and then always rolls back to the same spot and stops. I remember placing the ball there and placing it in such a way that there was a section. It was a gray ball, and there was a section, a small rectangle section of white where, you know, somebody might write their name or something, but it was blank. And I positioned that right on the top. Plus there was a coin on the ground in front of it. And I checked that ball every time we walked past there at night, and was convinced it hadn't moved, because it was still exactly where I left it. So then to see the video and see that, you know, somebody's something is toying with us by moving it around when we're not there, and then as soon as people approach, stop. I thought that was pretty cool, actually.
In the winter of 2008, Southern Ontario Paranormal Society embarked on a two-part investigation of the very historical Winking Judge Pub, located in Hamilton, Ontario. For the group, the investigation would become a centerpiece for Hamilton's major newspaper, the Hamilton Spectator, which claimed the board to cover the first part of the investigation for its paper's front page. Stories not only from the pub's owner, but from the regular patrons were in great abundance. Strange activities crawled through the pub's 4 floors, from the appearance of a young woman in the attic area to a strange man in the men's washroom on the 3rd level. Patrons would also experience the presence of a ghost of a cat that had once lived on that location. The Winking Judge is situated in one of Hamilton's oldest areas, an area known for the lodging of ship's captains and their families in the mid-1700s. The building that stands today is the second actual structure which was built in the 1700s. The coverage of the team's investigations drew the attention of yet another major media outlet, that being Hamilton's leading morning AM radio show with host Bill Kelly, who invited SOP's founder on the show to discuss the investigations.
I'm Maria Talia, and this is the Winking Judge. It's an old English pub. It was established in 1979. Prior to that, it was a residence. We've owned it for 10 years with my husband and partner. We've had a lot of people tell us they've experienced things in here. Apparently an old man, quite tall, thin, wearing a hat. He seems to be walking around upstairs, and at night you can hear footsteps. And you look over from the bar from downstairs, you don't see anybody going up the stairs, and you'll hear actual footsteps, not creaks, but actual footsteps. And then you'll hear footsteps upstairs. A few men have seen him in the men's washroom. There's the urinal, and then to their right is a big window. And out of the corner of their eyes, they would catch a glimpse of somebody standing behind them, and they turn around and nobody would be there. And that's happened quite a few times from various people have experienced that. What else? One evening after I had locked up, the last person left, I locked the door behind him. and I was in the kitchen downstairs counting my cash. I heard the screen door open, the big wooden door open, and somebody ran up the stairs. I was so scared. I just dropped the cash there, just left everything, grabbed my keys, my purse, ran out to the door, found the door locked, and that just scared me. And I just opened the door, locked it behind me, and just went home.
How about your little furry friend downstairs,
Well,
the main floor?
apparently we have a little ghost kitten running around downstairs. I have never seen him. Nobody's actually seen him. We had a lady in here, and she said she was a psychic, and she mentioned the kitten. And if you watch people, you'll see somebody just kind of scrape the side of their calf a bit, and then it'll gradually go around the room, and you'll see the next person at another table just brush off their calf, and it would look like a cat's brushing up against them. You see that happening quite a bit. About 2 years old, just talking, learning to talk. She would stand at the bottom of the stairs, and she would be babbling away, talking to somebody, and we'd go over and ask her, who are you talking to? And she'd point up the stairs, and she'd say, man at top of the stairs. And we didn't know, because at the top of the stairs there's a picture of the winking judge. So we were never sure if it was the picture she was referring to, or if she did see an actual person there. Sometimes she would come upstairs by herself and play up here, and you'd hear her babbling, carrying on a conversation with somebody, and you'd ask her who you're talking to, and she'd always refer to the man. We heard them give a yell of surprise, and I ran over, I thought they spilt a beer or something, and all three of them said, oh, we just saw a wisp of smoke going up the stairs. And I said, I can't explain that. I don't know what it was, but all three of them saw it at the same time. That's happened twice, and then another group of people had said the same thing, that they've seen a wisp of smoke going up the stairs.
So what's your stance? Are you skeptical on all this, or do you believe it?
I tend to believe there is something. Skeptical, I always try to come up with a real explanation as to what I heard or what I'd seen. But sometimes you just can't explain it. Like distinctive footsteps. Creaking, you can explain, yeah, it's an old house, old wood, it's going to creak. But actual footsteps, that's kind of hard. And the one day when I ran out the door, and I heard it actually open, because it's a big heavy door and it creaks. A lot of people have felt things, especially our bartenders going up to the 3rd floor. They get eerie feelings. Our cook refuses to go up there by himself. I get eerie feelings sometimes, like especially on the 3rd floor, that somebody's staring at me or somebody's behind me, and I'll get little chills. Our partner he's very skeptical. He doesn't believe in anything, and he's said he sensed a very cold draft upstairs on the 3rd floor. He's been up there, but it's an old house, it's drafty, so he can kind of explain it that way. And various people, they walk in, they said they get strange feelings. Even up here, people will be playing darts and they'll say, oh geez, gotten kind of cool up here, and usually it's pretty warm up here.
So, okay, are you looking for a conclusion or answers, or are you quite happy not, like for instance, if no answers are able to be found, will you be content with that?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
We're just happy, just any kind of, if you find something, great. If you don't, well, we live with it, so not a big deal. It's not, like I said, as long as it's not scaring anybody, we're happy with that. You hear footsteps, well, you hear footsteps. That happens quite a bit. Usually at night. During the day, you don't really seem to notice it. Just usually at night, you do notice the footsteps on the 2nd floor.
Just checking the stairs here.
Maybe, 'cause I know we do
some reports that they're hearing people coming up and down it
in the backyard.
after hours, after everybody's gone. So just want to try to get a sound so we can use against if we record any audio.
Does the window actually go through to there?
It seemed pretty solid to me. It doesn't seem like creaky.
So see how the roof comes down like that? It's probably in the same angle as this window, but right, like how the windows are at an angle like that. So it's,
if you hear something loud coming up these stairs, it's just not the wood settling and stuff like that for sure.
Do you have a sensible explanation for what you think it might be?
that's where you bring. That's where you bring. Yeah,
ghost, I guess. But seriously, something's making noise up these stairs. Is not. Unless there's some animal coming out from the attic, coming up the stairs or something like that. I have no clue what would make that sound. There's lots of debris on it, plaster and stuff like that, but it doesn't look like anything else is falling from the ceiling.
What's going on over there?
What is it?
Rob's chest.
It's right here. Again. This is a really important spot though for it to move, but it's you. There's no question of that.
So we're getting some activity with the rods?
Well, I had an experience that Rob came downstairs and I realized that something was following him. And so I've followed him around and checked and realized that they were around him. Something was around him. And then of course he started to get very cold. Do you know where it is now? No. I think the lighting is just maybe... There? No. I'll try.
So how about you, Marcy? You getting anything else?
No, I was just watching what they were.
Careful with the laser.
Oh.
The flashlight's pushing the trigger down on the gun. Somebody's gonna lose an eye.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I didn't know what it was.
It can cause permanent.
Did you guys get anything downstairs in the basement, Rob?
I didn't go down. Leanne and Daniel went down.
I'm sorry, I stopped.
Her batteries for her recorder died or went extremely low, and when she came back up, it came back. So, but you can ask her about that. That was just a basic, quick. I still want to go down and try that out myself, but.
I did get a name, yeah. We got a name, or I got a name. Don't know whether or not it was.
What name?
I got a name of Abigail. It just.
Yeah, we were over there. I asked for a name, and
he asked for a name.
She picked something up, so hopefully if we get it on.
Yeah, but something happened to your batteries?
I went down. Yeah, I walked down the hall past the camera, and then back, and the battery was fine. And I went into the little furnace room area with Dan, and I noticed that the battery was down to nothing. I mean, like it was still functioning, but there was no juice at all left in the battery. And I actually mentioned that to Dan.
Was it a fresh battery?
Yeah, well, it had like 5 lines earlier.
Until you got down there.
Right. Now I've got battery again, but it's like 3 lines. And down at the bar it was 2. So it's slowly coming back up.
You still have the thing down?
It's on the stairs. Yeah. Okay, we're I'm currently in the front attic area. There's a couple of the mediums have felt strangeness in this room. Several different entities or spirits or anomalies. Nothing has been seen yet, and in terms of recordings, nothing yet. Let's have a look at the room.
I think a personal level, I would say I'm not so sure. Maybe not. As far as evidence collected, like from my audio, I've got nothing. As far as I know, videos come up, nothing. At least what Leanne's looked at. We do have the recording that seems to be slightly under contention.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Within the group, but. I wouldn't be able to say 100% yes, it's haunted. I wouldn't be able to say 100% no. I think there could be something to it. I just from what we got, I can't really say like it's totally haunted. I can't say that.
Okay, Chris, you want to go into the whole scenario with the EVP?
Oh, basically, I think me and Carrie were in the basement. We're about halfway down. There was a step there, and I thought I heard a voice and stuff like that from behind. I'm like, hey, Carrie, did you hear that, right? The thing is, a fridge came on the exact same time and came on. So we were like, oh no, man, we didn't hear that. But when I went back over the audio, I personally could definitely hear a voice on that audio and stuff like that. But there's always that dispute. I mean, the fridge came on, just because of that, I couldn't say, I wouldn't put out there as evidence, 100%, just because it's in dispute and stuff like that, right?
Well, there's too many factors. There's too many external factors involved to, I think, in my opinion, to put that out and say, yes, this is definitely evidence. I mean, we could say, yeah, it kind of sounds like it, I think, but yeah.
Personally, I believe that's what it is, but putting it on the site and saying it's evidence for the group, I don't know. I'd have to go back there, check the fridge out again and stuff like that, see what kind of noise it makes, and Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Sound like a voice.
And more concentrated, maybe EVP session along with the cameras. I know that, excuse me, my audio on the main floor of the bar, I put it on a table, and that entire session, it was just there was a rumbling, a vibration through the table onto the recorder. So now I know not to do that one again.
I think we pointed out some spots where we can concentrate on next time through the psychic investigation. We got EVP or the one in dispute downstairs. I mean, we can concentrate on that area a lot more, which we had no clue before we went in that anything was even happening really down. At least I didn't, right? So.
So 2 spots where you'd like to heavily concentrate on.
For sure.
With the basement and the attic front area?
For sure. We got enough reason to go there and concentrate on those spots and stuff like that.
I was in the other day talking with Murray that works there, and he had, after our investigation, he had decided to go up with his MP3 player / voice recorder and put it in the front attic room, the one in question, for roughly 20-25 minutes. And what he got on it, he's going to work on. He doesn't know how to get it off the MP3 player and onto the computer. But when he figures it out, he's going to send it to me. He's going to look at it, because there's a couple of things that happened. There was complete silence for 7 minutes 25 seconds, something like that. Then you hear a noise like somebody, it's only 2 seconds. It sounds like somebody's rifling through something, but just for a couple seconds. And then at about 10 and change, somewhere in there was a strange noise that I would like to definitely amplify it, just to rule out like a automobile noise from outside, because shortly after that you hear a car or bus go by or something like that. But it did have it was sort of lower than what those sound like, but I think with some amplification we can probably rule out, or not rule out, what it might be. And then when I was with them the other night, we went and put it up in the room that the raccoon apparently is in for about 25 minutes. So I'm supposed to check back in with him on that one, but I had to go up with him because he's the one staff member that will not go up there in the dark. When it's dark out, he won't go up there alone, so I had to go with him, and then I ended up having to go and retrieve the recorder after, because he was too busy and I wanted to go home, and I knew he wouldn't go back up by himself. So anyway, so we'll see what that turns up as well. But yeah, definitely I think we need to get back in there for sure. And if she's apparently cool with that, so we just need to set up a date, right? Is that what it is?
Yep. Just got to set up a date, and we're in there. All right, guys. Any last words of that?
Soft rules, baby.
Hidden behind the thick foliage of trees, at the end of a long, winding dirt road stands a farmhouse empty to the naked eye. Though it's not what you can't see that Southern Ontario Paranormal Society has been so attracted to. Not only the thickness of the negativity it continuously illuminates that seems to draw them back time and time again, the surprise unveiling of some of its history that also drives the group to find more answers behind the activity recorded there. What sadness would draw two women at two separate times to both commit suicide? Is one of these events the source behind the presence of someone or something that gives the thought of a strange and welcoming feeling? It is the continuous research and investigations that we eventually link these questions with some answers. Until then, the farmhouse, dark, sitting with its porch light on at night, giving those who look on a warning of impending evils that lurk within its walls.
Place messed up. Something weird about the investigations like this is like when you stop paying attention to things, that's when you hear them. Which is, it's like they want attention or something like that. I don't know.
Is there somebody currently here with us right now? Like a lot of times that you'll get in a place like this, you'll get that sense of feeling not alone. See? Movement again. There is movement
Right down there.
down the hallway here. Now, whether that's an animal or not, but it's moving very slightly. And it's above us. And yet,
conversations like whisper. If there's anybody here with, like, can you show us a sign of your presence? Can you move something on the floor? Can you bang a wall?
You hear again the fire detectors or the fire alarms, the batteries have been dying, and when that happens, you hear a constant beep. So the first couple times that we were here, that's all you heard, the beeping. Now it's dead silent. That's all you hear. Nothing. Silence. Of course.
The abandoned farmhouse, that was an interesting one. I think for as long as I've been doing this, I've always wanted to find places like that to check out. I think it's just interesting just to see, sort of, go into a place and realize that there's a history to it, and maybe we don't know what it is at first, but I was pretty excited to check this place out, and I have to be honest when I say that that is the only place that we've ever investigated where I was actually a little bit on the scared side. I had a really freaked out feeling, and it felt really uncomfortable as we approached the house. And a bullfrog jumping in the water scared the crap out of me, and then getting up to the house, I remember feeling like wow, I'm like, here's an abandoned house, I don't even want to go in. Like that's how strongly I felt that there was something very foreboding going on there. But of course, I pushed on, and we entered the house, and I just remember feeling very it just like the air was really thick in there, and there was a very oppressive and non-welcoming sort of vibe to the place. Chris had no problem. He's walking all over the place checking it out. I remember, I think I said this that night or maybe later on, but as I was going up the stairs to the upstairs part of the house, or one of the sets of stairs that goes up there, and I'm not psychic, I never claimed to be psychic, but the feeling, I remember thinking that whatever is in the whatever's in this house now is either something happened, and that's why there's nobody here anymore, and that's what's left behind is this awful feeling, or that's why they left, was because of whatever's there.
Why the people aren't here?
Yeah.
Like either they were killed or something, or they fucking left because it was so fucking negative feeling.
At least I wasn't alone in that, because I remember we got to the point where it's like, I just don't feel like we need to be here any longer. Like, this is just, I think we've been here long enough, and off we went. So, and subsequent visits up there didn't feel anywhere near that intense. Actually, the one time didn't feel, that feeling was completely gone from it. So I don't know what that was. But it was honestly like the first and only time I've ever been anywhere close to scared doing this sort of thing.
We're here to check this stuff out. We think there's something going on. We want to know. Really cool stuff from this place before. We got really creepy EVPs. Had some psychics in there and stuff, and they've had some different feelings about the place, and had a little bit of a history on the place. Not 100% sure how accurate that is, but there's a lot to go on.
So tonight you said you felt differently than usual from the other times that you've come here. Why is that?
I don't know. It's just we're here. It's not quite dark yet, and we came here a couple of. The place is just creepy, anyways. But for some reason tonight, I don't know. It's just I'm getting this really weird feeling. I usually don't get so. I have no psychic ability whatsoever, but this is just different. That's all I can say.
What exactly though? I mean, can you pinpoint what is it? The exterior of the house, just the feel the vibe that you get?
It's weird. I feel like something's in there, like, kind of watching you a little bit, like, waiting for you. It's nothing malicious or anything like that. Just, it's more like, I don't know, there's somebody actually in the house, more or less, than if there would be spirits there. It doesn't feel empty to me. It feels like there's somebody there still living there, which obviously there isn't because it's abandoned, but I can't explain it. It's just a feeling, right?
So, talk about the EVP that I captured there. You really like that one. Why?
It was very strange EVP. I mean, I've never heard anything quite like it. I mean, there's a certain echo inside the house considering it's empty, and the weird thing about the EVP that it actually echoed like the echo when you're talking in the house. So you hear a lot of EVPs, and it's kind of not there with you. It's kind of out here a little. It's hard to explain, but that one was like there was somebody in the house with Steve calling from upstairs, and they never heard anything at the time. So it's just different than your average EVP that I've dealt with.
Our investigations usually are to try to understand what is paranormal and what isn't. There are a lot of factors that people would automatically think that are paranormal are simply environmental and base, can be easily explained. It is the things that haven't been weeded out, that can't be explained, that we can almost say are paranormal, and that's what we will work with. For instance, if there's any evidence that comes up on, photo, video, or audio, an EVP, for instance, you scrutinize it to the point where you just cannot explain what it is, and that's when you say that we possibly have something paranormal. Yes, we were hearing noises that seem to be coming from the attic. We can't stand here and say it's paranormal. But we can say, look, there is a possibility, but there's also the possibility that it could be raccoons or something, some
for sure.
type of animal. Now, folks, we're off to our well-known haunting ground that we've been doing research for the last almost 5 years. A little pioneer cemetery called DeForest. See you there. In late 2005, the discovery of a small pioneer cemetery nestled on top of a hillside hidden away from much of the modern world, simply known as DeForest. In the beginning, there was little known about this mysterious resting spot of the area's early settlers. Then in 2006, after Southern Ontario Paranormal Society had begun to share its research and experiences of their many times at DeForest, its secrets began to unfold. Securing a rare genealogical document of the pioneer cemetery and receiving contact from some of the DeForest descendants led SOPs down the right path to a better understanding of the many questions yet to be answered. The cemetery was not only part of a much larger picture many years ago, once part of a parcel of land given to the DeForest family by the Crown. It also housed a school, a small Methodist church, and the DeForest home itself, which still stands to this day. The small cemetery has proven to be very active, activity that leaks over to the DeForest house where many accounts have been recorded by the current owners. Presently, SOPS continues to take DeForest under its wings with its ongoing research, continuously piecing together its mysterious history with pieces of evidence collected over the years. Are the children buried there, reaching out from beyond? Why do those choose DeForest for their shady occult practices? Where does the ghostly chatter come from, and who is behind it? There is a wealth of elements that have yet to show themselves, as the research continues to unveil more of the secrets of DeForest.
as you notice, well, you can't really notice now because it's dark, but it's been actually, they've had people come in and actually cut the grass and landscape it. Usually we do a cleanup here every year. The last 2 years we've done one, and we've been sort of working out a good date to do one this year, but it looks like we've been beat to the punch.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You know, maybe sometime in the fall or something we'll come back and do a little cleanup or something. We definitely don't ignore the fact that, you know, this is a piece of our history, local history, and it needs to be taken care of.
You think we may have something to do with the cleanup here this year?
Yeah,
I mean, like, it was never cleaned up before, and all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like,
that's a good way to put it. Yeah. We never know. Maybe somebody saw a video online about our cleanup. Who knows? Hopefully that's the case. It'd be nice if it got regularly cleaned up.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, when we first started coming here, there was absolutely no sign of it being taken care of. I mean, weeds up to your waist, grass, you name it. It just didn't look like it was taken care of. The family plot just over here, beyond this tree, you can faintly see because it's dark. When we first started coming here, this was like, and you can slightly see it does have a bit of leaves, but it's not quite as bad.
The cemetery here. Over on this side is where we got most of our stuff from, pretty much all our EVPs and everything. I'm taking it that's where more graves are, people are buried. Of course, they're all unmarked now. The tombstones are along the sides and stuff like that. But we found many of them back in the back bushes there, just laying down, and yeah, you get pretty cool stuff up there.
Most of the markers, the grave markers, are to the edge or boundary of the cemetery itself. Did you hear that?
No.
It's an airplane?
No.
Did you hear?
Something like that.
Growl?
Maybe it was just me. I don't know. But most of it's to the.
You hear some slamming here.
Like, that's probably what it is.
From,
yeah, to the edge. I mean, there's only the one over there that yourself, Mike, you had an experience there.
Yeah.
But my theory is, after all the research that we've done here, that the marker, there are grave sites that have been overgrown, and the markers themselves have been destroyed and moved to the sides. And that, in fact, when we're walking here, even though there's no markers, I'm almost certain that we're walking on our burial ground, but we are unable to detect that, obviously, because
one night me and Steve came up here,
whatsoever.
and we heard a lot of chatter coming from around here, and it actually sounded like about like maybe some guy in his 20s, just a second of a conversation. We could hear it a couple times over here, a couple times over there and stuff. And through research and stuff like that, we found out different people who died here, and I was looking for people who died around their 20s and 30s and stuff like that. And there was one Thomas Small, and there's the Thomas Small monument over there by the plot over there. It was really weird. And we came back the next week, and I had not told our one investigator, Leanne, that this had happened. And she came up and she's like, you know what? I hear chattering coming right from over here, right? And it was the exact same thing I heard. And she described the voice was somebody in their 20s and stuff. And the crazy thing is that later that night, I asked, what is your name for just EVP session? And I got the name Thomas right into the recorder. So, I mean, that has to be it's my theory what's going on here, but that has to be my most memorable night, was when we heard the chatter. Came back the next week. Again, we heard the chatter. And also that night, it was crazy because me and Steve were just checking along, looking for the graves back here, and we got a bunch of different EVPs. One of them said vigilance. One of them said listen up, look. It was all in the first 10 minutes. And then over by the grave plot over here where a lot of psychics came up and they'd actually felt sick and stuff like that. So he was just going over what they'd said over the stories. And right then and there, I got an EVP saying Steve's name. When I heard that when I got home, I was like, okay, it was a weird atmosphere that night. It was just buzzing. That's all I can say. It was just buzzing, man. Like, but yeah.
Would you say this is, and I've asked you this before, would you say this location, DeForest Cemetery, is probably the most active areas that you've been to?
Oh, for sure. 100%. This, in my opinion, DeForest is like haunted. I'll put myself on the line. This place is like a legitimate haunting.
Well, in late 2005, a friend of mine was hiking the Niagara Escarpment, and he came across a small little cemetery that he had pointed out one night that pretty much when we started up the group, and he mentioned that he remembered this small little pioneer cemetery. So one evening we went up there, I think it was October 2005 or September 2005, around there, and we went up there, and that's how we found it. Just something about it right off the bat, I was just intrigued, and I think a part of that is because of the EVP that I captured that very night we were up there. It illuminated something very unusual, and of course it led us back. In terms of its history and what we found over the 4 years that we've been researching and investigating the location, DeForest Cemetery is what's left of what was something very, very much, it was much larger at one point. In the late 1600s, up to the mid-1700s, a parcel of land was given to the DeForest family. And on that land was the DeForest home, which now stands. To this day, it still stands today. That and a schoolhouse, which also acted as a church on Sundays. Those are no longer there. The only things that remain are obviously that little parcel, that little corner, which is known as DeForest Cemetery, and the DeForest home, which is in behind. In 2006, because there was very little known about DeForest, even the Milton Historical Society, and this, pretty much the authorities on keeping track of cemeteries had little information about the place. But we dug hard enough, and we came up with a lot of stuff. In 2006, we were contacted by some of the members of the DeForest family that are like descendants of the DeForest family, which led us down a path into finding more information about the founding people, Abraham, Elizabeth, and how they were loyalists that fled to Canada during the War of 1812. Or sorry, before that, because
that's 1776.
No, it was after that, but yeah. It's closer. Yeah, but closer to the 1800s, and of course finishing around 1812. But yeah, and pretty much a lot of the names that are listed. There's one thing about DeForest. If you go up there now, you will not see all the people that are actually buried there. A lot of the tombstones, a lot of the markers are destroyed, are either gone, misplaced, or they're moved to the edge of the cemetery. So I mean, when you're actually in there, you don't know if you're actually standing on top of the resting spot of somebody there.
Right.
So, but yeah, and of course the research continues. I mean, it continues to be a very vital part of the core of our being. Our research is dedicated to DeForest.
The night I got that EVP was my first kind of investigation with SOPs. We like to go up there sometimes after our meetings and just have light EVP sessions in different public haunts and stuff, right? So went up to DeForest the first night. I think it was February, March, and we went up with a group, and it was my first time out. We were having a good time, and I went to the far back corner. I think that's where the Campbell Monument is, right? So I was trying out different equipment. The one woman let me try out the dowsing rods for the first time. I just wanted to see if they actually move by themselves, right? And I had no real clue what was going on there. So the dowsing rods were moving back by themselves in a certain area. I was like, that's cool. I don't know what they were moving for, but they were going by themselves. And so I gave her my recorder. I was playing around with her for a little while. She gave me back my recorder, and about 10 seconds after she gave me back my recorder from what we had on the audio, because I could hear us talking back and forth, so I knew the whole conversation, I knew where we were, I got an EVP. I mean, this EVP was probably the best one I've ever got. Weird it's on your first investigation, you get that stuff, but totally hooked after that. It was absolutely crazy. I'm sitting there, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, oh man, I'm going to go through my stuff. If any of you guys are investigators out there, you know what I'm talking about, right? so I'm there listening to my stuff, and I'm like, man, I'm not going to get anything. I'm not going to get anything. I should just shut this off. But no, you always wait to the last minute of what you're doing, I got this thing. I almost went back in my chair, man, looking behind me. See, I could not believe it was the craziest thing I've ever heard. And ever since that day, I never stopped coming up to the SOP stuff, You're chasing the shadows. You know what I'm talking about, right? So
it coined him the EVP magnet.
Yeah.
I remember getting an email at 2 o'clock and 2:30 in the morning, whatever, and he was just so excited, so elated. Wow, this EVP is just amazing. You're gonna love it. And sure enough, it just blew my mind when I heard it. I'm like, there's no doubt in my mind, given the atmosphere of DeForest, that this was an authentic EVP. Was to matrix me. We've put it out there without telling people, and they all come back saying the same thing.
Well, it was what it was.
Yeah.
It's like not like what you think. It's what it was, right?
It's clear as day what the little girl is saying.
I'll check. Go around, ask some questions, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay.
So just level to the ground like this.
Yeah, just make sure.
All in one night, man. Myself, Chris, Rob. I can't remember if you were there, Mike, but wow. We had some problems, and unfortunately, with the paranormal community, those things do arise, like every other community. I was feeling a little concerned about the state of DeForest, given some events that happened beforehand. So we went up there to just sort of check out, because we've pretty much taken DeForest under our wing since doing this research and looking into the history and trying to put the pieces together. It's like a
big puzzle.
Yeah.
It's a big puzzle.
And,
that's all.
so we went up there, and sure enough, one thing stood out as we were going up that hillside. The famous trademark monument we know DeForest of was not standing.
Yeah.
When we went up there, it was pushed over.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no way. Even if it did
you
fall
can't.
over,
The wind's not blowing that over.
It was positioned in a way where it was used for seating.
All your light on here so we can get a good capture, a good picture of this.
Do you have your illuminator?
No. It's on. Oh, it's on. Here. You want to use that?
Okay.
All right, as you can see, this is appears to have fallen down, but I don't think it has. I think it was pushed down and dragged into this position. There's some candles here. This is one of the main reasons why we don't like to share location information, simply because to avoid things like this. This is absolutely, disgusting.
There was candles all over the cemetery. There was no doubt in my mind that some sort of ceremony was going on. Occult, I don't know, but it was not, your regular, let's go up and have a midnight vigil for the people resting at the forest or anything. No. There was something going on there, and I knew right away how that unfolded, and
well, it was really irresponsible. I mean, we didn't put the location of DeForest out there right away, which a lot of people say, like, why are you hiding it? The only reason we didn't do that is because it's kind of unsafe there because of the age of some of the tombstones. I mean, this monument's old. I mean, and like it weighs like a good at least 300 or 400 pounds. We didn't want anybody to get hurt.
Yeah.
And it's because we would have felt kind of responsible. Kids going up there and stuff like that, and other people thought different, right? And they had to break the code or whatever, right? And that's the end result of that.
But the good thing is, we fixed that monument later on. We went up there and we for our cleanups. We do a cleanup once a year there, and we cemented it back together, and
It's solid. But anyways, to continue on with that, what was really neat, that was the very same night that when we were up there, I had what I pretty much feel was a shadow person sighting. We were again by the Campbell Monument in the very corner, very far corner, and we were walking towards the monument, and I was snapping pictures, and you know, I had thought I had two people in front of me, two of the guys in front of me, and as I'm snapping the pictures, I'm noticing, you know, upon reviewing the pictures, there's only one person in the picture. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, wait a sec, there's two people in front of me, but I'm only getting one person in the shots. So, you know, I go, you know, Chris. You know, Chris is there. Where's, I can't remember if I said Mike or Rob, you know,
No, I think Mike was there.
Yeah.
And I was over to the side.
Yeah, that's
in behind you too.
Yeah. So anyways, the point is, the other person was on the other side of the cemetery. And as I'm calling this out, I'm watching this person veer off across the monument into the bush line and just disappearing. Okay, we're going to move the camera to the far corner, the Campbell lot. I was just standing there taking pictures and thinking that one of the other investigators were in front of me. Chris in particular, taking some EVP samples and walking around with his flashlight. I took a picture in his direct area and I noticed that there was nobody in the picture, and lead Chris to thinking, wow, what's going on here? And actually Chris was off to another area, so I actually saw somebody walking into the corner and there was absolutely nobody there. So I'm going to move the camera over there and maybe we'll catch something. Who knows? It was just the weirdest, the oddest thing that had ever happened to me. I'd never experienced something like that ever before. And the same night that we went up there, you know, to see the devastation of DeForest.
Odd that happened that night.
Yeah.
After you know, like we're kind of like going up there all the time, and then the one night something bad happens. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe something new, or maybe I'm just full of it. I don't know. But you know, like you see that night, which was crazy. Something happened there, and then all of a sudden, you know, you see shadow person or whatever it was. I don't know. Like an emotional feel. You know, you could feel like a buzz there some nights, and some nights you can't feel it.
It's quiet. It's still as anything there.
When you feel that buzz, you're getting stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were obviously upset that night that happened, and
we were pissed off.
You know,
really pissed off. It was like a family member being like mugged or something. You know? You know, like you do so much work in a place like that, and again, like I mentioned earlier, we felt like we've taken this place under our wing. Like, because I mean, although the city does take care of it, and it has been now more so, maybe because of sort of that awareness that maybe we've helped that out. We don't know.
And to reiterate on like bringing people up there and stuff. I mean, if you contacted us, you know, and you want to have a legitimate investigation up there, we're more than happy to bring you on up there. It's like we just didn't want anybody to get hurt who should have been fooling around up there.
That's the one thing. We won't share any location because of this. This is a simple reason why we won't. If we don't know who you are, we won't share that kind of information. That goes with anywhere. If you know. So that night was probably the craziest night that we'd ever been up there. The most active night when we were up there. It was myself, Leanne, Rob, and Chris. We went up there. Chris and I were up there the week before doing some EVP work, and again, it was pretty crazy that night. But that night, there was everything from ghost chatter, like you could hear chatter on the boundaries of the cemetery. It's something that's very, very a common occurrence there with a lot of people that go there. But when I went home to review, actually I'll get into that a bit later, but Leanne got sick she got violently sick after we had experienced everything from strange, like a strange grunting noise in the distance. It sounded like I don't know what. It was just odd, weird.
Fifth, really?
I have noticed late arrivals.
You hear that? Back there. No.
I heard that growl.
You hear that?
I heard that. It's an animal.
No. That sounds like. What did you hear?
You hear like the froggy noise.
No, I heard like. Ah.
That's what I heard
Really?
too.
Yes.
That's what I heard too.
Back there.
And of course, Leanne experienced the ghost chatter or the chattering, whatever. But the evidence that we pulled out of that place was just that evening was just crazy. I had recorded what sounded like somebody walking on a wood floor, an old wood floor, and walking across it and opening storm doors or barn doors or whatever and slamming them open or slamming them closed. And this was loud enough that if it was to occur at the point when we were there, we would have heard this.
Oh yeah.
And the only location close to that place is the DeForest home. And we would have heard that, but in the recording it would not have been as clear and as close, positioning wise, as we did when we captured it on audio. So I mean, it's the strangest. Again, one of the many things that we've captured or experienced at DeForest. It was absolutely.
Well, I want to talk about some more of the EVPs and stuff we got back there. I mean, especially in the back corner. I mean, we got like tons of crazy stuff back there. I mean, we've had anything from like them saying your name back there. I mean, we were back there the one night and we were just looking through the sun in the back bushes, just looking for tombstones and stuff like that. And I mean, we've got a couple of EVPs we have posted on the website. We got.
Well, you know the weird thing about that. Yeah, that was the week before again. Chris and I had went up there. And we were in the one corner by the camel, in the corner again.
The corner back there.
That place has got to be the most active area of DeForest. But anyways, for us, anyways.
Yeah.
But what's weird is, Chris and I were looking at some of the hidden stones that were just discovered back then, and these are in the bush line at the very back, and we were like just talking about them and looking at them and all that, and this is by the fencing, the boundary line of DeForest, and then you have the DeForest house,
which is the current boundary line.
Yeah, and what's really weird is that whole time we were there, we didn't hear anything, but when Chris pulled up his recording, like his audio, you could hear somebody as if they were right there on the other side of the fence talking to us, but we can't make out what they're saying. It's just, again, it alludes to the ghost chatter that you hear there.
And all I've seen in here is just trees.
And it's all, it seems to be all in like a strip in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's where the actual graves were all buried and stuff, but it's like they wanted us to find that because it's hidden.
Yeah.
That's where it's all hidden back there. And I mean, the EVPs we got that night, I mean, I don't know, I'll put them out, you can edit that after, but we got Vigilance and we got Listen Up Look. And then these are clear EVPs. What we were doing, we were looking for those graves that night. We were like, oh, this is cool. Like, for me, there's more than one thing going on at DeForest. It's not just one thing. It's definitely one side of it's an intelligent haunting, which is not malicious at all. No. It's an intelligent haunting. And I think there might be some other residual stuff there. I'm not sure, because you do get different stuff there, but it's always a male's voice for the stuff like Vigilance and stuff like that, which the other EVP was a little girl's voice, right? So it's very weird. It's very interesting. If there's one place I can say it's haunted, like I don't care what you say there. I've heard stuff, we've seen stuff, we've got evidence. This place is awesome. We've been to so many other places, and that's the place. Yeah, which is weird because it's not this place that's like, man, this is the most haunted looking place in the world. We're building up.
No, I mean, if you were to walk in there, it's like there's little there. I mean, it's not your typical cemetery.
Yeah,
where
yeah,
you
no,
got
no.
millions of markers. No. As I explained before, you can walk in and only see a handful of markers because it's been devastated over the years. It's not been looked after properly, and therefore, between vandalism and the weathering and all sorts of things, a lot of the markers are either to the side or missing. So you're walking in there, like I mentioned before, you don't know if you're walking over somebody's resting spot. It's just weird. But there's one thing about DeForest. There's nothing negative about it.
No.
There's no negativity there. There's nothing evil there. Nothing like that. I don't think there's ever been a point where we've ever felt unwelcome there.
I think kind of like they kind of want you to know that they're there.
Yeah.
This is where they were buried. This is their spot. That's all. It's kind of like all they want. I mean, I don't really know, but that just seems where it's pointing to, because every time we go to that back corner, that's where all the stuff happened. And I know where the property line was, or I'm assuming back in the olden days the church would have been right there, because usually the cemetery was behind the church all the time back in the olden days.
Well, I don't think there was a cemetery at that point. The cemetery came after.
After that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the cemetery came after, because when there was the house and the church, school, whatever.
Right.
No, at first there was not cemetery, DeForest Cemetery. There was actually a cemetery just down the road on Guelph Line, which is still there, and it's affiliated with the church that's on grounds there, which is still there, in Lowellville. And I think that they were associated with that. But I have found the DeForest name, which can be spelled two different ways. That's actually a way they used to spell the DeForest name. And you can trace this name all the way back to cemeteries going towards the border down to Niagara Falls. There's actually another pioneer cemetery close to the Screaming Tunnel where there are DeForest names. So you can like, we have gotten to the point where we have actually started to trace the route where the DeForest came from, which was, the Philadelphia area, down in the States, and they migrated this way. But we can actually track it through the various pioneer cemeteries, coming all the way up from Niagara Falls. So, which is neat. Another point that the research is bringing out.
One of the things we want to talk about here is with you, and so many people on the line here. You open this up, and what we are doing here is we're giving you an opportunity to tell your story, because this is not the sort of thing that you go to work and say, oh, by the way, I saw a ghost last night, because you just feel a little worried about how people are going to respond. Well, we're listening. Like Fraser Crane says, I'm listening. Have you seen a ghost? Have you got a ghost story? Steve Genier, the founder of the Southern Ontario Paranormal Societies, I guess. We're talking about ghosts, and I'm telling you, the lines are jammed with people that have ghost stories. And the fascinating thing that Steve was talking to me about just a second ago, and I'm going to get him to explain it to you, but I want to get back and get as many calls as I can on first, because I'm just intrigued by the number of stories and the number of people that really, have something to say that maybe they've been holding in for a long time.
I tell you, it is cold up here. But we don't care, because we are the real ghost hunters. We don't smoke on our investigations. So any mist that you see is really ghosts. It's not smoke.
It's the heat coming off of the fury that
I'm very afraid. I think I hear a train in the background, but there's no trains around here.
Yes, we're all.
This is hilarious.
You look stoned tonight, pal.
Like a deer in headlights.
I thought we were going to go in the timer.
We've been walking out here for days. We're lost. Oh, Bobby, help me! Help me! I can't find my way home. Wait a sec. Who are you guys?
What's that? What's that that's,
And everything I draw comes true.